All right, you're good to go.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. And I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. Before I introduce my next guest, just the usual follow, like, subscribe to whichever channel you are listening or watching from. And I will jump right in and introduce my guest, somebody that I just love the work that she does. We align a lot with the work that we do working with children and families. I have Ashley Blanco with me today. And thank you so much, Ashley, for joining me today. I'm really excited to have you on.
Thank you so much, Danielle, for having me. We're going to have some fun today.
Yes, absolutely. Because I see what you do. And I think we're both kids at heart.
Yes,
So
yes.
we still very much nurture our inner child. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yay.
Yeah. So before we start, let's give us a brief history, like your story. Share with us how you got to where you are today.
Yes, so I'm from San Francisco. I I've been here. Well, I'm in San Bruno, so just 20 minutes south now. But I've been in this area for all of my life minus 5 years. So I graduated from Howard University and Brown University and got my degrees in psychology and urban education policy. And funny thing is, I used to look down on people who worked in after school care. I was like, that's not real work. And I don't know where I got that idea from. I thought the real work was, this is my mindset drenched in capitalism. I thought the real work was portfolio management and being a director of a school and all of these things.
Yeah.
And funny enough, because I had that idea, I ended up working in after school care, my first job after graduate school. So I have been with kids. I've worked with all of the ages up to, well, I've worked with all the ages, except I don't really work with elders. I get my wisdom from them, but I don't do like geriatric coaching or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I have been an after school program provider before and after school. I've been a tutor in between. I have been a children's ministry director and a case manager, program coordinator, and a family support specialist. And in 2021, November 2021, I left the comfort of my full-time job in the school district as a family support specialist to explore the possibilities of self-employment, doing kids coaching and kids ages 8 to 18, working with their families and working with service providers. So being a coach for those who work with kids before and after school and some other stuff in between. So it's a lot of good stuff.
That's amazing. And yeah, that is a very crucial age, the 8 to 18. We kind of focus a lot on early childhood and for obvious reasons, but there is a lot of help needed and support needed for those ages as well. So it's wonderful work. And I've done the same, worked in before and after school programs and all of that. So I know exactly what you mean about that,
Yes.
the image that is given to that line of work. And what it actually is versus what it looks like.
Yes.
And what prompted you? What did you what happened inside of you to say, okay, this is where I'm going to focus? Like you said, you're leaving the comfort of a stable job that and I'm jumping right in and getting this started.
Yes. Here's the thing. I said I cannot do this environment. I really enjoy the people I worked with. I still keep in contact with them. We have great connections. But I could not bear to be in an environment where there was crisis to crisis and excuses around why we couldn't achieve certain goals. So for that reason, I said, you know what? I've got to find out what more I can do besides here, what the limitations are.
Yeah.
And that was really the basis of why I departed from that role. But again, the people I worked with, I really enjoy them. Learn a lot from them, with them, still keep in touch. And even though I'm self-employed and I'm only employing myself, I do hope to have a team in the next, few years. I'm still a community coworker. My work doesn't happen unless somebody wants to work with me, so still have to be approachable. I still have to be flexible, or I don't have somebody to work with me that don't have any money. So it's really a blessing. I was thinking about this a lot yesterday, which is the humility of doing the dream. I feel such a tenderness, and there's a few parts of it. One part is, wow, I really get to do this. I know how it is to go month to month wondering and trying not to worry, but wondering where is this going to come from, and how long will I have to wait for certain people to get back to me. The other part is I am being provided for, and people are remembering me. So doing this work is such a humility to go out and say, hey, I've got an idea and I want to share this and I want to be a part of what you're doing. And maybe we can enhance our work together by weaving in some things. It is so, the only word I can think of is humbling, because you really do have to ground yourself and be like, and listen for what they need and want, and listen for what you need and want, and be honest about what's possible. So I'm very grateful. And it's so much good stuff. I got new kids coming in. I've got some contracts coming in with different cities. So it's happening slowly but surely. But even just finding out how things work, when you're in a 9 to 5, you can clock in, know you're going to get paid because you clocked in, and then you kind of can expect certain things, and you can make excuses around why you can't do something because the protocol or the structure.
Exactly.
And I think that's good. I think we should be aware of what the limitations are. At the same time, there's so much more to experience. And I'm not advocating everybody leave their job. I don't have any children. I'm not married. So I do have more flexibility in that regard. But it's really an evolutionary process being on this journey the last year. And every child teaches me how to coach them. Every family teaches me just how they've opened up. I remember I was doing family coaching and we went overtime, but I was just like, you know what? It's okay. We need to get through this part. And I got in the car afterward, and I'm a spiritual person. So I was talking to God on the way home, and I just felt this tenderness, and I began to cry, and I said, oh God, please don't take this away. And I talked to my therapist. I talked to my therapist about it, and she said, well, God is good, and you were questioning whether that goodness would keep you in this work, and knowing that I'm in this because the Spirit, the people, the desire to grow together. It is amazing. And it's tough, but I wouldn't choose the comfort of my previous job, so.
Yeah, despite the uncertainties and the added stress and the extra hours, you work a lot more when you're doing your own thing, and you're held accountable for what you do. So yeah, and I think you said something very pivotal there, where you say it's the Spirit, it's a calling. It's not, you don't do this for the fame, the glory, and the salary. You do this because you see the need, and it. I think that's not everybody's cut out for this kind of work. Absolutely not. And I'm always, that's why I love the work that you do, because you're glowing. Anybody that's watching the video will see when you talk about it, you just light up, and that's how you're just, even if sometimes we question ourselves on why am I doing this again, it just comes out when you're in the heat of the moment, when you're in action. It just you're reminded, and you said it. The kids teach us just as much as we teach them, so it's rewarding in a sense. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was kind of leading up to my next question, where you work with children and you learn a lot from them. What would you say? A lot of parents kind of believe that their children need a certain things, but oftentimes they need something else. So what would you say from your experience that the children need the most from their parents that we may not think and we may not think of because we're so caught up in our adult world that we don't actually see.
You know, I know this work does make me light up a lot. I'm like, whoa, I just feel it right here. I think each parent will benefit from observing their child.
Mm-hmm.
And letting and playing with their child, even if they're a teenager. I say the teenagers are toddlers too, just in a different body. And one of my friend and mentor taught me that, you know, they still need that attention and that connection. And observing your child, playing with them and letting them lead the way, asking more questions. I think that is very broad because I can't say it for this child, you need to do this, and for this child, you need to do that. But I think that parents need to just be more observant and curious, because the moment you start to think you know your child is the moment you may find out you don't know them. So just having that humility to be like, let me see the child from their eyes. Let me ask some questions to where their world begins to open up to me. You know,
Right.
There's one of the young people I work with in the family coaching setting. She's 12 and she's in there with her mom. You know, she revealed, I don't feel like I can be myself, which means I don't know who my true friends are. And her mom didn't know that. Her mom was thinking, she doesn't listen to me and she doesn't respect me.
Yeah.
And the child doesn't even know who they are and is looking for that validation, you know. And I said, so what do you want out of our time together? And she said, I really would like my mom and my friends and I to be able to hang out together.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was so insightful because, again, the mom thought my child needs to respect me. She needs to respect these rules. She needs to respect herself. And I'm all for respect. And the child wants the people she enjoys to be together. And that is such an essential need. And I think with the way things are, especially in the United States, very fast-paced, very disruptive at times, all of the input, we all need to be around people who love us and to feel that security of like, you know what, even if I make a mistake, I'll be called in versus called out, you know. So, and that's something I would say too, call your children in on their behavior instead of calling them out, because calling out, you know, leads to embarrassment, shame, guilt, regret. And those can be transformative in some ways, but when you call them in, it's like, if I have a stain on my pants, Danielle, I would want you to say, hey, Ashley, you know, you got a stain on your pants, versus, Ashley, why did you walk in here with this stain on your pants?
It's a slight difference. Yeah.
There's a difference. It's different. So.
Yeah, that is a very good point. Is not assuming, because then we're kind of in our body when we react like that, and not assuming that we know what they actually do need, and kind of get that information from them. Yeah, it's very important. It's not easy, but because at first they're not going to want to talk. That I know for a fact. At first they'll be like, why are they prying? But then eventually they open up. So you just have to be a little patient. You work a lot. I've seen that, and I just appreciate the work that you do on that, is to help children find their purpose. And it's something that is not taught at an early age. I mean, we work with adults who are still trying to find their purpose. So how would they teach that to their children? So what would you say we need to focus on when we're helping children find their purpose?
That's a great, there's so many layers to it. One is the power of play. What do they naturally enjoy doing? What are some of their habits? I remember being a little girl and I was very imaginative. So I was always talking out loud to myself. and I had a classroom, and I was always, scolding these particular students, and their names came to my mind the other day, Tane and Claudia. I was like, where did I get this name Tane from? It's such a weird name. So Tane and Claudia. And then my dad walked in the room, and I had passed out nearly a pack of binder paper and put it in a semicircle. And he said, what are you doing? I said, I'm teaching my class, Daddy. And he just looked at me and walked out the room. But I was 7 years old. I knew I was supposed to be a teacher. Mm-hmm. Now, moving forward in life, I was like, I don't want to do public education during the day. It's a lot of, But to be able to be an educator in this realm now, that started from a very young age. So giving children the space to naturally explore in the realm of healthy and appropriate play. I'm a strong proponent of supervision of children. As much as I say observe them and ask them questions and let the world open up, for them and for you, a tree is still a tree. A chair is still a chair. These are things that are not going to change.
That's right.
I'm not that new age now. It's still a chair. But being able to create the environment that's physically, intellectually, emotionally, and spiritually safe for children, that will help them to, develop and just be outside. Don't have them on the screen too much. Mm-hmm. I'm not a parent. I feel this much of what parents feel every day when I say this has got to work because they're paying me. But the parent had the child and they're paying for everything. And they're like, this has got to work. So I'm like, let me set this up to where there's a balance between the child being able to give and receive and me being able to give and receive. And when we look at what's natural for the child, what's fun, what benefits others, and they feel good doing it, I would say that's a pathway to purpose. Right. The purpose is multidimensional and it's going to show up in different phases. So just being open to see how it looks. Like it could be a quality that expresses itself in different domains in different ways. But never assume it's just one thing, because helping people is a huge thing, but there's so many ways to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's funny, and I like that you said that. It's it shows up in different ways, so we just pay attention to it and don't get fixated on it because it may evolve into something else. So that's wonderful. You do a lot of work too on self-care, self-awareness, and just setting children up for success. Again, something that we don't learn early on, and we struggle through our teen years and our adult years to figure that out on our own. You open that world up to the children and their families. So what would you say, are there any kind of steps that parents could take to set their children up for success in all areas of their lives?
Yeah, one of them is a time for journaling and reflection. Even if a child is not able to write, just saying, what did we enjoy about today? Doing a debrief at the end of the day. What's a challenge we had today? And what do we want to do differently tomorrow? And just setting up that time to discuss. And it helps the child to think about, not a challenge, but it's not the end of the world. And then with visioning and values, putting stuff on the wall, like what's important to us, and putting sticky notes like, I really enjoy this time with us together, or, we need to call these next 5 people this week just to say hi, like reminding them of their connection to the world. What I'm getting at here is making a routine out of connection, because many of us are still feeling isolated and lonely, and there's a lot of economic insecurity for many of us. I grew up in a low-income family, experienced homelessness, and we were always on the go. There were some people who I give thanks for them and walk with them every day, because they stepped in to just take my sister and I for ice cream, or, they would pick us up and we go play at the park or whatever the case may be. And for families who are in transition of any sort, being able to reflect on, what did you enjoy today? What was something that surprised you today? Those type of things help us to internalize the moment in a deeper way. And then we can remember, hey, remember when we had a really hard day, but we wrapped it up with just laying on the floor and we did starfish, on the floor. And and I'm kind of silly in that way. That's kind of silly, but those are the things that you remember,
Yeah.
So
That's so true. That is so true. Especially children, they remember it's those memories, not the whatever happened around it, but those special moments of connection.
yeah,
Yeah. And I didn't even think of that, but you mentioned it with because we kind of take it for granted. We weren't really we had a life before the pandemic, and a lot of the children
yeah,
didn't. That's all they know. So to make connections as part of the routine, I really like that. I'm going to take note of that because you're right.
yes,
We've lost that in that short span of time. We have had an imbalance in our connections. So it's very, very important. Kind of leads me into another thing because you mentioned the parents as well. Like you work with the families to support the children. And what kind of advice would you give parents who are themselves struggling to keep a balance in their lives in whatever shape or form? What advice would you give them to be able to help their children find the balance in their life while they're struggling with their own? So that's an obstacle. That's a challenge that
yeah,
parents face a lot.
yeah. One of the things that I shared is with parents, like sometimes you're not going to be able to get away from your child when you need to do some self-care. So I say, okay, we're going to do this together. And it can be back-to-back breathing. I'm sitting on the ground and just breathing and being able to feel each other's heartbeat. It can be, okay, we're going to give each other massages. And me first.
Yeah.
And then you. And it can be, you know what, we're just going to lay on our backs. And we're going to do some visualization. We're going to go to our favorite place right now. We're just going to say, what we see, what we feel, what we hear. We're just going to make up a scene right now as we lay on our backs and relax.
Mm-hmm.
When they're able to get away from their child, and someone's taking care of their child, get off your phone. Do not recharge on your phone.
Right.
Take your deep belly breaths, drink your favorite healthy drink, go jump in the water, whatever it is, but don't be on your phone because you go from overstimulation to understimulation or overstimulation. Then you feel like you didn't have a break. Mm-hmm. So just kind of, if you only get 1 hour or 2 hours, it's still 2 hours, treat that like it's a vacation that you get this week,
Yeah.
And really guard the time. And you can always work on your tone and give your child a break. I always tell parents, because the kids are off balance at times, say less. Don't argue with that child. Don't, and for children who just want to push the limits, one of the parents I work with, her child wants to keep the lights on all night and be on her tablet and use up, all the dishes and not wash a dish. I said, okay, remove the light bulbs because she doesn't know boundaries. She has to eat off of paper plates. And the mom began to implement that. And the daughter was awakened by that, like, wait a second, who's this mom? And I've been working with her for a few months. So her daughter's becoming more aware of this more firm mother she has now. But setting those boundaries and sticking to it. Do not give in to your child because you're tired. If they want to cry, let them cry. My mom used to let me cry. And now I understand why. I need to get that out. I took a nap. I felt better. But she didn't have time because she had her own stressors. She didn't have time to be arguing with me at 8 years old.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And that's important to set those values. And you again, you hit it on the head there with saying, don't give in because you're tired. Because especially when you're changing a behavior, or if you're trying to teach your child something, because the minute you let something slide, you're starting all over again. You're right back
Exactly.
to ground zero, and you got to build it back up. So, and taking care of yourself with your child, you're teaching your child
Yes.
how to regulate, because they learn from example. They don't learn from words. So
Right.
that's very, very important. I love that. Can you share some transformations that you've seen from with families that you worked with from beginning to end? Any transformations that come to
Oh,
mind?
well, one of I call them my kids, but they're, I should say, the students in my program. One of them, we were in the program. I did a Declutter Your Heart Space program last year, actually at this time a year ago. And the little girl, well, she's 15, but she said at the time she had been bottling up her emotions for the last 7 years. So that was half her life at
Mm-hmm.
that point. And so she and I entered a coaching relationship, and we focused a lot on naming her emotions and organizing her internal voice to respond to that worry, so that she wouldn't just be, the negative self-talk wouldn't just take over. She could actually have a response. So what we focused on a lot was her signature strengths, combating those gremlin voices and
Yeah.
finding her voice. And I said, I'll just call her Sarah. Her name's not Sarah. I said, Sarah, did you feel that when you said, stop it? I don't want to hear what you have to say. And she said, I felt that. And I said, the first time I didn't feel it. What changed? And she said, I could feel it coming from my heart. So just those, that
Wow.
energetic, like they call it somatic work, but helping kids find their voice from the inside out. That is like, oh my goodness. And she's only done one cycle of coaching with me, and she's still doing well. So I was just like, that's
Mhm.
great. And I would share the notes, and I always share family child bonding opportunities, because I'm all about keeping families together. Do not educate the child to isolate the child from their family. Keep the child
Yeah.
with the family. So that's one. With one of my other children, now she and we're going to go into our third cycle. And
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
wow, this is my first time
Yeah.
in this space doing this. And with her focus has changed so much. Like, she's becoming more more inclined to solve a problem without looking for the answer first, like without looking for someone to give her the answer. A few weeks ago, she was like, oh, I don't want to do this. And her energy was really low, and, all of these things.
Yeah.
And her attitude was like, "Oh, I could do it if I wanted to. I just don't feel like it." But now she's really bringing her energy up around those non-preferred tasks, so she can do what she wants to, because she has a good life. She goes on trips with her family and she has her friends, but it's just doing those must-dos. So we're staying and on track with that. Oh, okay, one more. Another one with his finding his voice. So I would say I'll call him Malik. I said, Malik, who are you? We worked on affirmations a lot. And he would say, I am kind. I am smart. I am interesting. And I said, okay, now what do you notice about your tone when you say that? And he says, I don't know. I said, okay, well, tell me again. And now we're going to do affirmations. What take the whole alphabet, and as quickly as you can in the next 30 seconds, fill in A for this, Z, whatever it is, B, C, D.
Yeah.
And so he would still have that tone. So we worked on putting a period where the question mark was. I am this, I am this, I am this, I am this. And we only met 3 times, but by that third meeting, it was a new young man. The way he spoke, the way he sat up in his chair, the way he smiled. And we worked on having a beginner's mindset so he wouldn't be so hard on himself for not,
Yeah.
achieving certain goals within the pandemic. But I was thinking of him yesterday. I saw him in his name in my journal, and I was just like,
Oh,
oh. There's so many. Okay,
yeah.
wait, one more. I did 2 girls, and I got to do 2 boys. One more boy.
I love
His
it.
he is just. They're all my favorites.
Yeah.
He and we are in the park together, and he's working on becoming more regulated in his emotional expression and his physical activity. And his teacher has said that his writing has improved
Oh, wow.
because he's more calm and taking the time to do his work.
Wow. I know.
I was just like, this is what it's all about.
Oh, wow.
It just makes me like,
Yeah.
So thank you for reminding me of what the transformations are, because I have to remind myself as well. They're so
Yeah.
exciting.
It is. And I love that when you said they're all my favorite. They really are. When you work with children, they all have this unique aspect of them that just draws you in. And you're just like, this child has to succeed. There's no other way. And when you see that success come through, like you said, the handwriting, I would never thought that would affect the actual schoolwork just from just managing these emotions and these distractions that are created from. Oh, it's beautiful.
It is. So yes, that just gave me energy. I have some kids that I'll see stay in tomorrow, and I'm just like, wow. It is just planning for each one. Sometimes it feels like, oh no, I don't have enough time, but it's just like managing my own anxiety. Look, you can do this. You've been doing this.
Yeah.
You are doing this, But these kids
Yeah.
are just so wonderful. They really are.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how they teach us is to be in that moment and see it. Yeah, so we'll put the focus on you now and see, how do you find balance between work? I mean, you're running. I mean, if you don't work, there's no income coming in. So
Exactly.
the life, the work life, the family life, the social life, all of that. How do you find the balance in all of that?
I make sure I move. It's raining and windy right now in the Bay Area. So, and just over different parts of California. So I'm like, let me make sure I walk in between the rainfall. I've got to move.
Yeah.
I practice a work-play balance. Work-play rest balance instead of work-life, because work-life sounds like what? No, there's got to be more to it. So when it dries up, I'll be getting on my skates again. My sister was here. We were roller skating, so that was so much fun. Making sure I call people too, because I get really into my work, and I'm like, ooh, let me remind people I love them. So I send them messages. Making sure I show up for other people's dreams as well. Like we couldn't meet yesterday because of the power. It's like, I do not want her to think that this does not matter to me, because it does matter to me. Let me follow up. If I speak the word, I have to keep the word, so being very careful of what I speak as far as commitments, because I'm the type of person, I feel bad if I say did something, unless I really can't do it. Like we could not meet because of power. And then the day went on, and I was like, I need to get back to her. But yeah, just making sure that I keep what I speak, make sure that I move, make sure that I eat good meals with people that I love. And I have a few things lined up to where I don't have to be attached to just one thing happening, and that's such a blessing. So being able to be grateful, and like I have a gratitude journal, and I just write down what I'm grateful for, what makes me feel alive, and it kind of just flushes out all of this energy for more good stuff to come in. So it's good.
Oh, that's good. That is very good. I love it. And you said, remind yourself, because you do get caught up in your work, and remember to reach out to people. And you just made me think, I haven't called my mom in so long. I'm gonna need to call my mother.
Yes,
So right after this, I'm gonna call my mom. Do you have any let's say how am I going to word this? Do you have advice or wisdom that you'd like to share that you wish you would have known sooner, that to make your life easier? If you would have known this when you were younger, that would have opened up something different for you. Is there any type of advice like that you'd like to share?
I'm reading this book right now, Necessary Endings by Dr. Henry Cloud,
Oh,
and it's really, really good. I wish I would have known earlier that I don't need to bring everybody into my self-confidence. There are some people that you want to stay connected to because they're wise and they want to support you. That's completely different. But bringing people in to validate your self-confidence, like, don't let everybody into your confidence. Don't let everyone into your worth. There's no place for your worth is where you stand. If I would have known that early on, I think it would have helped me to get rid of certain influences. But then you know what? I have to say, God knew. I had to grow through it, you know.
yeah.
So I couldn't have known any earlier because given my life history, where would I have learned?
Right.
So, yeah. Oh, there's advice. Don't be so hard on yourself for what you didn't know, because where would you have learned it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, don't be hard on yourself for something you didn't know. I love that. And those people, like you said, that's something I've learned. I've come to learn too. Is they were there to teach me a lesson.
Yes.
So you're grateful. At first, you're not necessarily grateful for having some people, but then you realize, no, I grew from this. So this is it's great. Is there anything that you're working on right now? Anything new coming up that we get to look out for?
Yeah, you know what? I just wanted to, since I have one of my decks here, tell me you love me without telling me you love me. You can find this conversation starter deck on www.risewhereyouare.com/products. And it comes with a bag and a sheet of activities to accompany the category. So there's 6 categories: inspiration, courage, gratitude, creativity, and 2 others I can't remember right now. But tell me you love me without telling me you love me is all about generating positive emotions while getting to know each other. So getting those out there to people who are like, hey, let me deepen the conversation either with yourself or one-on-one or with groups. They're age appropriate, so kids can ask you the questions, and there's some ways to dance around the questions, not answer them, or dance with the questions because it requires movement. So it's fun. Tell me you love me without telling me you love me.
I love that. We need more games like that just to yeah, that's great. And that's wonderful because parents I don't know how to open up a conversation with my kids, or I think that's wonderful. Oh, yay. I'm gonna get some. So I'll put the website in the comments and in the description as well so people can have a look at it. And before we wrap up, I always ask this question because I made a promise to a little girl that I would ask everybody, is what would you like to be when you grow up?
Oh, what would I like to be?
I love this question.
It's such a great question because now I'm doing what I wanted to do, but there's still more for me to be. Wow. What would I like to be? I don't know if it's something I would like to be, but something I would like to do. Oh, I want to make compostable bags out of the leaves I see on the street.
Wow.
I just want to find out how. And so it would be someone who's more of a nature person. That's who I want to be, more of a nature person. But I want to find out all these leaves on the ground. What can they do? And then source lower income communities like, hey, put your bag in here so we can, that's one of my dreams.
That is such an ingenious idea. There's got to be a way around that.
There's got to be a way.
That's got to work. Oh, that is wonderful.
I just want to find out. I know someone's already doing it, but I just want to know. I just want to go through the process and what? How do you do that? So.
I love it. That's what I love asking this question because I've only been doing this for almost 6 months now. So there's 20 something episodes
Mm,
and then haven't had one answer that's the same. I love it. I just
wow.
and it's a question we ask children all the time, but to
Yes.
ask an adult is completely. You see that inner struggle a little bit going, but
Right.
I'm already grown. I'm already doing it, but there's
Right.
always room to grow. So I love it. I love it. I'm gonna look into this bag thing.
Yeah.
I'm on board with that one.
Yes.
All right. Now, how can before we go, how can people see you at work? Because I mean, you're active on social media.
Yes.
How can they follow you? How can they reach out to you if they want to work with you? Where can they see your work?
Absolutely. So risewhereyouare.com, RISE, where you are, YOUR. You can spell it out completely. Risewhereyouare.com. You can connect with me there. You can schedule consultation. We can talk about ways to work together, whether it's collaborating with your agency, working with your family. I'm all open. And my YouTube channel is Ashley the Kids Coach Blanco, and on Instagram, Ashley the Kids Coach.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that again, I'll add those to the description and the comments below so people can reach out to you. I want to thank you so much. I could talk to you all day, and
Same.
I'm glad that we got to connect. I love your work, and again, everybody, don't forget to like and follow Ashley Blanco and the beautiful work that she does. Thank you again. It was a
Thank
pleasure having
you,
you on.
Danielle. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I'm all excited. And for everybody listening or watching, don't forget to follow, like, or subscribe to any of the channels that you're listening to us from. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.